It's now been over 2 weeks since Election Day. So, what were your takeaways from the election results on both the national and state level in Arizona? What did
Oh,
Republicans do right, especially since, President-elect Trump was able to win back the state? What do you think Democrats did wrong or vice versa?
um, terrific question. And I think the postmortem still is not completed yet. But Americans actually do care about their prosperity. They do care about their economic future. And some of the early sort of data, and we see this from some of the polling, is the arrogance I thought the left engaged in was believing just pounding away on a couple social issues would override people's economic stress, inflation stress, pricing stress, and just sort of a quasi, um, trying to find an elegant way to say the not thinking about people and their needs instead of sort of telling them that this should be your cultural view instead of, hey, I'm just trying to economically survive.
Mhm. And that's something that you believe President-elect Trump and Republicans were able to communicate well
Uh,
with the American public.
Oddly enough, I go a little bit. I think in some ways the Democrats may have done as much damage to themselves in their own messaging as those of us on, the more conservative or the Republican side. We sort of stayed sort of consistent on a message, and I was continued to be shocked because we would see in our polling, people are having even people in a district like mine, which is well educated, somewhat more prosperous, were stressed out of their minds just trying to pay for things. And the unwillingness to talk to people about those stresses seemed very odd from the Democrats.
And so, a Democrat that did have some success in your state, though, is the new Senator-elect Ruben Gallego, who I believe you've served with for several years. So, what's your relationship like with the incoming senator? And is there anywhere you might agree with him policy-wise and maybe hope to work with him for the people of
Well,
Arizona?
and in that race is going to have its own sort of post-mortem because uh, is that a race where he won or a Republican candidate wasn't able to sort of repair her relationships with conservative and more traditional conservative voters. So I think that one may have been less about the environment and more about some of the personalities and perceptions of those personalities.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that was a trend that you saw across the um, country? I think there were a few
No,
races that, okay, that,
I really don't. I think this one had sort of a unique ethos
mhm.
to the previous 2 years.
Yeah. But going back to my question, any thoughts on your new senator elect who used to be your colleague in the House?
Um, because he never really worked on sort of the economic issues, like look, when you become a member of Congress, you sort of get moved into a specialty. My specialty is always taxes, Medicare, financing, economics. Um, Others, go on to defense issues or judicial issues. So you actually have colleagues who you see in the hallway, and that's the only time you ever talk to them because you don't hold any of the same committees.